Nintendo has a bunch of great games, but not all of them end up coming to fruition. And unfortunately, some of their canceled games actually sound way cooler than what they end up releasing. So hey guys, it's PJ from the Switch Stop, and here are the Nintendo games that should have happened. So let's start off here with Super Mario Spikers. Now, Super Mario Spikers was a Mario volleyball game incorporating some wrestling components, which was developed by Next Level Games. Next Level Games developed all of the Super Mario Strikers games, and those were amazing. So I have no doubt that their take on Super Mario Spikers would have been great. Unfortunately, Spikers was scrapped due to Nintendo thinking the game was, quote, too violent for players, but there were some animations from the game leaked online, which I'll show on the screen right now, and it honestly looked pretty cool. And it's really just a shame because Mario sports games have been in a creative drought recently, and new sport would totally shake that up. I would definitely have to rank this as an S tier canceled game, just because it sounds like such a fun concept. Like, I seriously hope they revisit this someday. Next up, Nintendo Kart. Now, this would be so cool. Imagine racing through the trees in Wispy Woods as Kirby, or through a map of Kanto as Pikachu, actually getting more FZero tracks, and finally being able to play as Captain Falcon. The possibilities are endless. Aside, Smash Bros is great as a fighting game, however, what gets people truly excited is the crossover element without a doubt. And if Nintendo were to put that in a game like Mario Kart, the sales would be insane. So I'm gonna put Nintendo Kart in A tier. Moving on here, a Star Fox game for the Switch. Now, this series has really been dormant ever since the flop that was Star Fox Zero in 2016 for the Wii U. However, I feel like there's definitely a resurgence to be had here. I mean, the series has so much potential, but it just wasn't executed correctly in my opinion. And from here, I feel there's only one way to go, and that's an open world game. Imagine being Fox flying through space, shooting enemies with the R-Wing, and traveling to different planets. And when you get to the planets, explore upon the Star Fox Adventures concept and make it a bit more engaging. Even seeing that in HD would be so amazing. I mean, think No Man's Sky, but Star Fox. How cool does that sound? So I'm gonna be putting this in B tier because while I'd really like to see it, it's not really one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. Next up on the list here, I've got Super Mario Sunshine 2. Now, in my opinion, Sunshine is the best 3D Mario game. The summery music, the island vibe, the movement with FLUDD, and even the iconic glitches just make this game so amazing and so nostalgic for me. Let's say that Mario returned to Delfino for what he thought was a real vacation this time, yet as usual, everything goes wrong. Now, with Fury Bowser coming for revenge for Mario, spraying goop all over the island, similar to the effect that Fury Bowser actually leaves in the water in Bowser's Fury. Now, I think this could be a really fun game, and with even more worlds added as Mario has been absent from Isle Delfino, it could be in contention for best 3D Mario game of all time, honestly. And seeing this game in HD would look beautiful. I'm going to be putting this game in A tier. So Sunshine 2 is probably my most wanted on the list. However, this game next up has been wanted by the entire Nintendo community for quite a while. So if you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And without further ado, the next game we got here is Super Mario Galaxy 3. Now, the first two Galaxy games are masterpieces, with Galaxy 1 already being a part of 3D All-Stars, and a Galaxy 2 port still heavily requested to this day, and I honestly think people would pay full price even just for that game, so why not make a Galaxy 3? I mean, this has to be one of Nintendo's biggest missed opportunities. The Galaxy games have great level design, the best music in the entire series by far, and the Galaxy vibe is amazing to play through. If Galaxy 3 went back to the non-linear formula that Galaxy 1 had, it could have been the best in this hypothetical trilogy for sure. And just playing through 3D All-Stars, I love the way the Galaxy 1 plays on the Switch, and honestly, I feel the controls, especially with the Pro Controller, are much more comfortable and just so much more stable than on the Wii. And with the current state of 3D Mario up in the air, maybe Galaxy 3 could turn from a should have happened to is happening. I'm gonna put Galaxy 3 in A tier. Next up here, the return of F-Zero. Now, the last new F-Zero game was in 2004 with the GBA's Japanese exclusive F-Zero Climax. Now, similar to Star Fox, as I've talked about earlier, this series has been dormant for a very long time, but thanks to people like Reggie saying that he, quote, doesn't seem to think that Nintendo has abandoned F-Zero, it appears in the news like every month now, honestly. I legitimately think that F-Zero should have happened during the Wii U era, but due to that console's failure, all hopes of that kind of went out the window. But moving to the successful Switch era though, a game could honestly be announced soon after the Mario Kart 8 DLC is done, because I mean, people have been asking for F-Zero for a long time, and this would be a great game to tide them over until the inevitable Mario Kart 10. F-Zero is a much grittier version of Mario Kart, and if you haven't checked it out, it's honestly a great play, and it's actually on the N64 online now, so you can get a bit of a taste for it because it really is a cool change of pace for Mario Kart regulars like myself. So I'm going to be putting F-Zero in the high high of B tier. Next up here, everybody's 1-2 Switch. Now, reports of this game came out a couple months ago, but it was supposed to be a sequel to 1-2 Switch and to take a lot of inspiration from Jackbox, even with a character named Horse commentating over the game similar to how the host would in Jackbox. Now, this game was received horribly, and the playtesters called the game awful and had to reportedly push themselves to even complete a full playtest. Said the game could maybe be an add-on to the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass, but even that was pushing it. And to go a step further, they even suggested to Nintendo that if this game were released, it could harm the brand as a whole. So with that out of the way, I mean, I'm gonna have to put this in low D tier because it just sounded awful. Next up here, Project Hammer. Project Hammer was a motion-controlled 3D beat-em-up for the Wii with the main focused on, you guessed it, a hammer. This game had quite the weird history with it being announced at E3 2006, Nintendo halting development in 2007, and then ultimately canceling it in 2009. This game is a total 180 of what Nintendo was putting out at that time, with the game having a gritty theme to it, problems with motion controls, a lack of identity, and a plethora of other problems. So there was really no surprise this game was canceled. I'm going to be putting Project Hammer in C tier. Now, moving back to first-party Nintendo, we should have got a sequel to Donkey Kong 64. Although this game was released in 1999, the gameplay still holds up today. An open-world Donkey Kong game with Switch graphics would be amazing because similar to my Star Fox idea, it's something we've never seen before. And if you look at Kirby, the open world idea is clearly the way to go with how great Kirby and the Forgotten Land was. So I really wouldn't be opposed to the idea of not getting a new Donkey Kong Country game for a while, if that somehow meant we got a sequel to Donkey Kong 64. Although I think that ship has sailed due to Rare being sold to Microsoft in 2002. I'm going to be putting this game in B tier. Moving on to another franchise from Rare, here's Banjo 3E. Now, a bit of a weird title, I know, but it's the fan-made title. The first two games on the N64 from Banjo were great, but after the Microsoft purchase went down, nuts and bolts came out of that, and that was kind of a mess. So, and in some alternate universe where a third Banjo game could have possibly come out on the GameCube or some sort of console like that, I would have really loved to see it because I definitely prefer the charm and art style of the older game. I'm going to be putting Banjo in B tier. Next up here, Pikmin 4. Now, this was a strange one because back in 2015, Miyamoto seemingly confirmed that Pikmin 4 was, quote, very close to completion, and yet we never heard anything about it again. In 2020, Nintendo released Pikmin 3 Deluxe onto the Switch, with fans predicting that Pikmin 4's story elements were sprinkled into the new additions in Pikmin 3 Deluxe. Now, this game definitely should have happened, but possibly due to the Switch being in development and nearing the announcement of the Switch when this game was in development, it's more than likely that this was just canceled internally, so I'm going to be putting this game in high D tier. Moving on here, a sequel to Pokemon XD. Now, as a huge Pokemon fan, a Pokemon XD sequel could have been amazing. Now, it takes everything I don't like from Let's Go and completely reverses it. Let's Go is about catching Pokemon in the wild, while XD is more about battling and instead snagging and purifying shadow Pokemon, which is a really sick concept. So seeing a story-based game like this come back in a newer generation rather than the third gen, which the Coliseum and XD games were placed in, would be something I'd love to see. Now, I gotta put this in S tier for sure because hopefully it'll lessen the odds of another Let's Go game being made. And lastly here, Fire Emblem 64. Now, this could have been an incredible game, but I hate this series. There's just so many characters in Smash. I mean, 8 is just way too many. And whenever I talk about hating these games, I get a ton of comments. So with that, I'm definitely putting this one away in the deep depths of F tier. So that's going to be it for the list. Be sure to leave a like and comment down below which Nintendo game you think should have happened. And with that out of the way, this is PJ from the Switch Stop signing off. Peace.